Good morning. I hope you're well. My name is Michael Washenko, and today I want to talk about the artist studio. So, as many of you have been displaced and forced to work from home, I think now is the perfect time to think critically about the space that you work in and then how that changes and affects your practice. Throughout history, the artist studio has kind of become this sacred space almost, where artists get to go and they have a dedicated place to create, to think, and to reflect. Now, the specific role that the studio has played for individual artists changes based on each artist. Perhaps my personal favorite of artists using their studio would be Constantini Brancusi, who would go and build sculptures in his studio and then rearrange them and photograph himself or photograph the studio. And the studio itself kind of became this work of art, this subject matter of his practice. But there are many other artists that are doing something similar, like for example Andy Warhol with his Silver Factory, where there were always people coming in and out of his studio, in and out of his home. There was quite a funny time where Andy Warhol came home to his apartment, to the Silver Factory, and there was an orgy happening, and one of the people there, one of the women there, kicked him out. I believe after that they became friends, and then eventually she shot him. I would say starting around the early 1900s, but then becoming crystallized maybe in the 1950s or 60s. That's when we really start to see the idea of what's called a post-studio practice. That is art that you can make outside of the studio. In fact, in the 1960s, you see an explosion of art that specifically cannot be made in the studio. And I think that that's something that is specific to a post-studio practice, is thinking critically about the limits of your space and how that puts you in a box. If you are only working in a woodworking space, you're never going to go and make steel sculptures because you don't have the tools for them. So thinking about the limits of the space that you had previously can allow you to make something really unique. For example, I would consider post-studio practice would be performance art, where artists were going out, specifically women were going out into the street and engaging with the public. Obviously that's something we can't do right now, but that is an example of thinking critically about what it is that you can do outside of your normal area. Another one would be like earth artists, like Richard Long, making huge works, or Michael Heiser with Double Negative, really going out there and creating almost mile-long pieces and work that just is beyond the human scale of understanding, of seeing, of experiencing all at once. And so when you're here and you're stuck at home, think critically about the home. Think about the space that you're in and how that can influence and shape your art. Now, if seems like kind of a lot to take in all at once, one of my favorite books that I got many years ago is The Studio by Whitechapel Gallery, published by the NIT Press. So I own a publishing company, so I kind of geek out on books a little bit, but I think that this is one of the best introductions to thinking critically about the artist studio out there, because what it does is it offers like little snippets of what artists have written throughout history and allows you to get many different perspectives all at once. So if you're stuck at home thinking, oh no, I don't know how to make art in my own house, don't sit around feeling sorry for yourself. Think critically about the house that you're in and what that means to you and what you can do there that you can't do in your normal space. And then, perhaps consider buying this book and giving yourself a little bit of research, a little bit of conversation to have with artists in the past. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.